You are now joining us here at the Poteet Homes podcast. I'm Sunny, and this is.
Jennifer.
We're so excited to bring you information to get you into your new home. How to buy a home is one of the biggest questions that we see. It involves so many things. But before all that, let us tell you about who we are. We are Poteet Homes, a custom home builder based out of Texas, where all your custom features could be put in to your new home. We could build on your land, and if you don't have land, we'll help you find land. The unique thing about us is we also even provide services to help you buy an existing home. Jennifer here is an expert, and she's actually a mortgage loan officer. Jennifer, tell us a little bit more about your services.
Yes, so we get a lot of people that call us not knowing the guidelines or the requirements to building a home or even buying a home. So we're going to make sure we go over what's required from everyone: credit score, money down, work history, closing costs, things like that, to make sure everyone's understands exactly what is needed before going and purchasing or building a home.
Whenever you say what is needed, Jen, what do you mean by that? What are some things that people need?
You need assets. You want your credit score to be at a certain number.
I think it's like what, a 620, 640 or something like that. What are we doing now?
620 is minimum credit score required, but I know a lot of interim lenders recommend that you have at least a 680 credit score.
Now, there's differences in whenever you're buying an existing house to when you're building. And so tell us a little bit about the differences there in credit score, or is it the same requirements?
No, so if you're going and you're looking to buy an existing house, a minimum credit score is a 580 with 3.5% down, and it's an FHA loan.
Okay. So we're talking about buying a home. How about building a home?
Building a home, if you can buy a home, you can build a home. But what a lot of interim lenders want to see is a credit score of a 680. Anything less may require more money down.
Okay, so she mentioned an interim lender. So an interim lender is essentially the lender that's funding the build. So in the process, Jennifer here is with Cardinal Financial, and obviously with Cardinal Financial, they'll be the lender that's taking on the 30-year loan. But the interim lender who we're partnering with will also take on a short-term loan of about a year. Then at the end, the permanent lender, Cardinal Financial and Jennifer, will then roll it into your 30-year mortgage. Now, I know we mentioned about money down for buying a home, but let's talk about maybe a little bit about the requirement for down payment in building a home. What is the requirement there?
Typical programs of financing are FHA, VA, USDA, and conventional. Each one of these requires their own minimum percentage down. In an interim build, we recently partnered up with a lender who will honor these programs for your loan to value not to exceed 95%. So what I mean by that is basically what the amount you're wanting to lend from the bank versus what it's valued at cannot exceed 95%. So a lot of times we get people in here that own their own land and they want to use that land as equity. We'll do an appraisal on it based on the value of that land. They may not come with any money to closing.
Okay, so 5% down is essentially what the 95% to loan value means. So you come in and you have land. As long as, let's say, your build is estimated at $300,000, well, 5% down will be $15,000. So whatever land you own has to at least appraise for $15,000 or more. And that essentially becomes a streamline to building your home. Now, whenever we begin that process, I know there's also work history that comes into this. What are the requirements for work history? 1099, W-2 also play very specific roles in how you become qualified. Let's talk about perhaps someone who's on 1099 owns their own business and maybe wants to build a home, what would that process look like?
So, for individuals who own their own business, we look at 2 years' tax returns and specifically line 31 of Schedule C on their tax return. So, we take that number, we divide it by 12 months, and that's the income we'll use monthly to qualify them. We do get individuals who make commissions, separate commissions. As long as they've received that for 2 years, we can use it. Anything less, we cannot use to qualify them.
Okay. So that's 1099, guys. So if you own your own business, it still is possible to build a house with us. We just look at certain parameters and don't really think too much about it. Just come in, let us talk to you about it, and hopefully through this podcast, we could help you clarify some of those questions, and some of those answers that you need. Now, when we shift over to W-2, it's a little different, but it's kind of the same. So maybe tell us a little bit more about that, Jennifer, on how that plays a factor in building or buying a home in general, just becoming qualified as a W-2 employee.
So for our W-2 clients, we need at least 6 months worth of check stubs provided. They do also need a 2 year work history. So let's say they went from 1099. They were 1099 previously, and now within the last 6 months, they changed to W-2, yes, check stubs. We can use that new income.
Okay. So now all that is very important for us, but let's not forget about your debt. We know we could get you qualified based on your credit score, based on your work history, but there's a very important factor here that comes into play here is your debt to income ratio. And whenever we talk about debt to income ratio, we don't want to exceed a certain amount of your income to your debt, right? So if you make $1,000 a month, well, if you have $500 in debt, such as a car payment, credit cards, well, that's 50% of debt. So that's going to be 50% debt to income ratio. Now, Jennifer, what is exactly the debt to income ratio, say, for a conventional buyer, FH buyer, FHA buyer, and maybe a VA buyer? What does that debt to income ratio look like?
So there's actually two ratios we look at. It's your housing ratio, which is basically your projected monthly payment on your house divided by your income, your monthly income. Then we look at your total debt ratio. And so that's your projected monthly payment plus all your monthly debt currently divided by your monthly income. And so we don't want those numbers. Each one varies per program. Your typical one is FHA, so we don't want your back end to extend past around 53%, depending on your credit score. If you have a higher credit score, that DTI can go higher. If your credit score is average, I would say you want to stay in between the 31 housing ratio and your back end under 50, so maybe 49%, so that way you can get approved.
All right. Well, so say all of that has checked off and you're a well-qualified client. So a well-qualified client meaning you have the credit score, you have the work history, you have the debt to income ratio, and you're here now to buy, let's say build a home. So you're here ready to build a home. Well, the beautiful thing about it is once we get you qualified, we'll then be working on your plan design. That plan design is very important. So say we got that figured out. We have the plan design already figured out. Well, now we package that plan design with a contract. That contract, that plan design, and your approval for the loan will be submitted to the interim bank for your construction loan. Once we have the package totally in place, we're seeing average turnaround times of around 35 to 45 days to close. And whenever we close, that gives us access to the money to begin building your home. Some people may ask, well, how long does it take for you to build a home? We're averaging around 5 to 7 months, depending on the square footage, to completely offer you a turnkey home. Now, Jennifer, I don't know about you, but anytime we could get to building a home, it's pretty much the most exciting things for us to get these clients in here approved and all the way through their plans. I mean, how do you feel about it all, right? Like, I love helping people.
Yeah, it's exciting, especially when you're helping people who thought they'd never own a home or build a home, making basically dreams a reality. So it's very rewarding when you get to help individuals, you know, um,
Yeah, make it to the finish line. I mean, that's essentially the most rewarding thing that we've seen and that we've experienced. And we just can't wait to share it with more of you, especially those of you that are on this podcast that may not be able to connect with us in any other way. Um, you know, we're just hoping to be able to connect with you, and here we are. So, moving on to another important topic, if I may. We will be taking a quick short minute break and we will get right back to you here in a few minutes. And we're back. Welcome back to the Poteet Homes podcast. All right, so as we got to thinking, a real important aspect of real estate is selling a home. And we're kind of shifting gears here. We talked a little bit about building a home, but we do offer the service through Keller Williams, right? I myself, Sonny, I'm a realtor. So some of the questions for listing a home, selling a home. At least let me give you some feedback on what I recommend. So the first thing that I like to see when I'm listing a home is what condition is it currently in? What is the motivation for the buyer, right? I mean, for the seller. What are some things that that seller is thinking of, and why are they trying to sell it? Once we get through those phases, we think about the simple aspects of selling a house. When I take a look at it, I want to see things such as personalized items, maybe removed from the walls, maybe family photos. Those are real easy things that you could kind of take out of your home to make it less personal. When a prospect comes into this home, you want them to see themselves in that home, right? So when they walk in and they see maybe a photo or a couch that may be too bulky, we try to eliminate any anything that may deter them from purchasing this home. So declutter is always a big deal for us. If you could, maybe put some of that stuff in the garage in an area that's showing that potential buyer that you are ready to make a move and you are essentially ready to be on the market. Another aspect of it is simple updates, maybe changing out the light bulbs, making them a bit more vibrant, cleaning the blinds, maybe removing some older window curtains. Those types of things will then assist you in getting this house ready for market. As we get more in detail in this adventure of listing your home, it becomes very important to find out what your end goal is. And what that end goal could essentially become is, where are you trying to get? Where are you trying to go? For an example, where are you trying to get? There obviously is a outcome that you're trying to reach. And once we get that determined, whether it's amount of money that you're trying to get out of it, whether it's the timeline that you're trying to, sell this home in, we want to figure those things out. And those things are very important whenever we're selling a home. So the one thing that I take away from all of this is the way the process will work is I'll set up a listing appointment with you to go over all of these details in depth. If I could go ahead and mention anything to you is we'll go ahead and do all of this for you and assist you in streamlining this sale of your house as quickly as possible. With everything in this market right now, all the competition, we definitely want you to be suited with someone that has the experience to then represent you in this transaction. And that's where myself, Sonny Estrada, who I'm an agent with Keller Williams, will be able to assist you with. Again, those are some of the top things that I think are important in listing your home. And don't forget, we will go more in detail with these things as we move along in this podcast. All right, quick recap. So today we talked about a few things, and some of those things were geared towards kind of the financing and how that plays into buying or building a home. The first thing we talked about is credit score. And I'm going to hand it over to Jennifer because, again, she is the loan officer and an expert at financing a home.
Yes, for credit score, don't forget if you're looking to buy an existing home, you want to be at least 580. We recommend, though, that you be at least a 620 credit score. That's going to open you up to a lot more programs that are available. Money down, FHA requires 3.5% down, so you want to make sure you have that amount saved in your account. You don't want to have it cash on hand. You want to make sure it's already in your account, and that way it's easily traced. Your work history. So 2 years work history for both 1099 and W-2 clients. And then your closing cost, at least 3.5% as well. This is the median between 2 to 5% down, which is normally required. So I think if you have 3.5%, you're going to be ready to purchase a home.
And, sometimes I guess that may change, but as a general rule of thumb, anywhere from that 3 to 5% range is typically a good place to start for your down payment. And of course, that doesn't include closing costs. There is also closing costs that we do need to take into consideration in all this. Closing costs, what does that typically run?
Around 3.5 as well.
So a total of maybe 5 to 7% down plus closing cost. Includes closing costs
Yes.
as well.
Well, I think right now maybe you should mention that it's a seller's market. We've seen a lot of our current clients get 15 to 20 to 25,000 over asking price because the inventory right now is very low, and the cost to build and the lumber, has increased. So people are trying to buy existing homes. Plus, they are easier to qualify for. So right now is a seller's market, and it would benefit anyone considering to sell their home to reach out and see what it's valued at and see what we can help them with.
Okay, yeah. So Jennifer pretty much nailed it on the head there. So, she obviously mentioned some of those things about how the market currently is, and that is a very big takeaway now because those of you that are considering selling kind of have a little bit of a leg up. You have something that many people want, and especially if it's a home that might be in a desirable subdivision or in a desirable location, then obviously that's when you start getting into people wanting to pay a little bit more for your home. For an example, I think we did a deal the other day, and it was on 4 acres. Beautiful property. It was a little older home, but if you don't go in a full ask price and don't ask for any of these closing costs, that's the real opportunity you have to buy a home. But if you want to go in there and try to negotiate, sometimes a little bit more difficult since sellers nowadays are essentially holding on to their price points and pretty much are willing to wait until they get that, which they're not having to wait very long. So you sellers out there, just remember, keep things decluttered, kind of keep things simple. If you have any touch-ups that you need to do, around the baseboard, around the exterior of the house, paint them, change out some doorknobs, update the light bulbs, kind of the simple things. You really don't have to spend a lot of money. Change the air filters. That's one thing that I noticed that essentially a lot of people forget about, but it's real simple. It costs $3, $6, $7 or so to change out an air filter. You could even probably hire, say, an AC technician to just get it serviced, get your AC serviced. If you own a septic tank and you're selling your property, it's probably wise to go ahead and have it pumped and inspected, because those are things that the buyer's going to ask for anyway, most times. So if you get ahead of those things, that kind of helps you streamline the process for your home to be sold, because now that buyer does not have to do that during your process, and which could streamline the closing date. So, if you're waiting a couple weeks for inspections and this and that and the other, you definitely could probably save yourself some time while your house is listed on the market. So how we go about that, we'll just look at some comparables in the area, and we'll determine a price for you. Once we get that price determined, you sit with me, sign a listing agreement, and it's off to the races from there. And essentially, at the end of the day, we're probably looking at 30 to 90 days on market here in the Poteet, Atascosa area. Now, don't let that stop you. We do serve outside of Poteet into the San Antonio metropolitan area, So at least you guys know that we're able to stretch out, able to serve you in multiple areas. Here at this Poteet Homes podcast, we want to remind you that Facebook is an excellent way to reach out to us. You can message us at Poteet Homes, our Facebook page. We also have an Instagram, Poteet Homes, there as well, and YouTube. Go ahead and look us up, subscribe to our page on YouTube, and take a look at our videos. We'll be posting a lot more content, and we definitely want you to be involved in all that. What is another way to contact us? Well, you could also contact us via phone at 210-201-3570. You could call us there. You could hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, and you essentially could set up your consultation. And we challenge you. Jennifer has something that maybe she could share with you about a special little giveaway that we might be coming up with.
Yeah, so another way to reach us would be through our email, info at Poteet, Poteet -homes, HOMES.com. We'll get back to you within 24 hours on those resources. Another thing is, if by everything we said, if you're not sure where you land on your credit score, your work history, you still have some questions, you can email me at jennifer.estrada@cardinalfinancial.com, and I can help you get started on your application. And that way, if you're not ready, there's a way we can guide you to where you'll be ready here in, let's say, a couple of months to 6 months, depending on where you stand. It's a good place to start, and that way you have a game plan on where you need to get.
Excellent. Yeah, Jennifer mentioned her email. She also mentioned our info email, and our info email will serve you for all your general questions. But if you want to reach out to her specifically, that's her email for her to help you get your financing kind of in line. And if you just want to drop me a line as well, since it's a cool thing to do now, you could reach me at sestrada@poteet-homes.com, and we'll be able to contact you immediately once we get your response. Now, one thing that we wanted to share with you is we're going to go ahead and challenge all of you listeners, since y'all have made it this far. The first five, we'll call it five. The first five that are able to maybe message us or call us and schedule a consultation with us. That means Zoom, which we offer. We'll also offer our Google platform where we do video chat there as well. Or you could come in and meet with us here at 10075 North State Highway 16 here in Poteet, Texas. If you're able to set up successfully a consultation with us in one of those ways, we will give you a gift card of equal to, I'm feeling good today, $25. $25, and maybe it'll be to your special place, whether it be a restaurant or something cool for the kids, like a donut shop. But definitely want you to come and find out for yourself. We definitely appreciated you joining us here at the Poteet Homes podcast. Don't forget to reach out to all of our social media platforms. We will post a link in the bio for a link tree link, which will take you to all of our social media platforms, our website. And Jennifer, what did you think?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for everyone to learn this process and you grow with us and see how we can help everyone.
Yes, I agree with you, Jennifer. Well, again, thank you for joining us, and we can't wait to see you again soon. Don't forget, Poteet Homes Podcast on Facebook, message us, Instagram, message us, and call us anytime, any place. Let's make this happen, and we're here to be your builder here at Poteet Homes. I'm Sunny,
I'm Jennifer.
and we are with Poteet
Poteet Homes.
Homes.